This hearing will come to order today on the nuclear agreement with Iran, and we continue our consideration of the possible final nuclear accord. Earlier this month, the administration and our negotiating partners announced the framework of a final agreement that is to be hammered out by the end of June. Now, all of the essential elements of this inspections regime still need to be negotiated, but I will mention that it was this committee that passed sanctions originally in the Senate, which brought Iran to the table. And it was this committee last session that passed unanimously legislation authored by Mr. Engel and myself that would, in fact, have given the clerics in Iran a choice between economic collapse or real compromise on their nuclear program. That bill passed the House floor 400 to 20, but that bill was held in the Senate. So today, the ink isn't even dry on this month's announcement, but we saw 2 weeks ago the chants led by the supreme leader in Iran. Yes, he said, yes, death to America, and then later asserted that Iran would not allow international inspectors access to Iran's military facilities. This weekend, the deputy head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps reiterated they will not even be permitted to inspect the most normal military site in their dreams, unquote. The administration has shrugged off such comments as Iranian domestic spin. But the issue of inspections and verification will be central to how Congress judges any final agreement. Will inspectors have quick, unimpeded, go anywhere, anytime access? Who can these inspectors interview? What documents can they review? Can they take environmental samples? Does the IAEA have the qualified manpower and resources to take this on? Can the framework's limited centrifuge research and development restriction really be verified? Now, Iran's long history of clandestine activity and intransigence prevents the U.S. from holding any trust whatsoever in the clerics who run Iran. Indeed, deception has been a cornerstone of their nuclear program since its inception. So when it comes to negotiating an inspections regime over the next 2 months, the U.S. must gain ground, not retreat. A key piece of verification includes Iran coming clean on its past bomb work. We recall that the IAEA asked those 12 questions about their testing. They got an answer back of half of the first question, and none of the others were responded to. That still has not happened, despite long overdue commitments on the part of Iran to international inspectors. The IAEA remains concerned about signs of Iran's military-related activities, including designing a nuclear payload for a missile, a nuclear weapon for an ICBM missile. Iran hasn't even begun to address these concerns. And last fall, 350 members wrote to the Secretary of State expressing deep concerns about this lack of cooperation. Yet the framework agreement is vague on this critical verification step. Intrusive inspections are even more critical. When you consider a recent Department of Defense study, it points out that the U.S. capabilities to locate undeclared nuclear facilities or convert nuclear programs are either, in the words of the Department of Defense study, inadequate or more often do not exist. And critically, that study also reminds us that verification is principally the political judgment, in the words of the study, to which monitoring and other means contribute. The IAEA and its inspectors will play an essential role in monitoring Iran, but it will ultimately be up to the administration and its negotiating partners, which includes Russia and China, likely acting through the UN Security Council or another international body, to decide whether Iran is complying with its commitments. And this is another weak link. If Iran is caught cheating, will this or the next administration be prepared to call them out? I'm not confident. Why? Because during the interim negotiations, when Iran was caught testing an advanced supersonic centrifuge, it faced no consequences. As one witness will testify, international inspectors can be no tougher than the countries that back them. The history of arms control inspections is that they are easy for political leaders to tout as a solution, but are difficult to fully implement. What looks good on the chalkboard often fails in the real world. Even if verified, as one witness will note, this agreement still puts Iran on the path to being an accepted nuclear weapons state. And beginning in 10 years, the administration's lauded one-year breakout period begins to fall away, and Iran will be able to enrich on an industrial scale. At the same time, Iran's Revolutionary Guard is advancing its ballistic missile capability under orders from the Supreme Leader to mass produce, and he has been publicly quite vocal about the need to mass produce ICBMs. In announcing this framework agreement with Iran, the President boldly declared that if Iran cheats, the world will know. Today, we'll hear from former top weapons inspectors and nonproliferation experts to learn what it would take for that assertion to be true and to be credible. And I'll now turn to the ranking member for any opening remarks he may have.